7 shocking signs a democracy is dying, Zimbabwe's latest crisis. From armed raids to illegal term extensions, see the warning signs. Armed men accompanied by the Zimbabwean police forced their way into the offices of Professor Lovemore Madhuku's political party, violently interrupting a meeting and attacking several participants, among them the constitutional lawyer, Professor Lovemore Madhuku. This attack is deeply troubling for Zimbabwe as it reflects a dangerous erosion of democratic space and shows that even lawful constitutional engagement is no longer safe from intimidation and violence. When armed individuals can storm a civic and political meeting with apparent impunity, it casts serious doubt on the state of the rule of law and the security of citizens exercising their constitutional rights. Professor Madhuku is opposed to Constitutional Amendment No. 3, which seeks to extend President Mnangagwa's term of office and change the presidential term from 5 to 7 years. He has an active case before the Constitutional Court challenging this process. Targeting him, as the state has now effectively done, sends a deeply disturbing message that this amendment will not be handled through open, democratic engagement where citizens are free to oppose or support it without fear. When a constitutional lawyer with a matter before the highest court is assaulted and intimidated, it undermines the integrity of the judicial process itself. It shows that power is being asserted through coercion rather than constitutionalism. Instead of allowing robust debate and lawful challenge, the authorities appear to be repeating the very mistakes that have, in the past, drawn damaging international scrutiny and weakened the country's global standing. Heavy-handed tactics do not silence controversy, they amplify it. If this process continues in this manner, it will inevitably attract serious international attention and further erode confidence in Zimbabwe's commitment to the rule of law and democratic governance. These violent attacks even make it difficult for those who are supporting the amendment to continue doing so publicly, because they expose the reality that this process is not being advanced on the basis of legal principle or genuine constitutional reform. Instead, it increasingly appears to be driven by intimidation, violence, and repression aimed at forcing citizens into submission without honest, open debate. When support for a constitutional amendment must be sustained through fear rather than persuasion, the legitimacy of that amendment is already compromised. A constitutional change of this magnitude should stand on the strength of its arguments, not on the silencing of critics. Resorting to coercion does not strengthen the case for reform, it weakens it and deepens national division. If a constitution must be amended at gunpoint, then it is no longer reform, it is a declaration that power fears the very people it claims to represent. You don't win hearts and minds through violence, you do so through engagement. The incident occurred on March 1, 2026, at the National Constitutional Assembly, NCA, offices in Harare. Professor Lovemore Madhuku, NCA leader, constitutional lawyer, and vocal critic, and other members were holding a consultative meeting specifically to review and confirm opposition to Constitutional Amendment No. 3. 5 balaclava-wearing men armed with baton sticks stormed the meeting, ordered everyone out, targeted Madhuku, and beat him while shouting, "You want to create problems for us." Madhuku sustained visible injuries, scars, and widespread pain, and received hospital treatment. He explicitly stated that 2 marked police vehicles were present throughout, with officers watching from inside without intervening. This happened amid a broader pattern, similar abductions and beatings of NCA members and other activists opposing the same amendment in the preceding weeks. Possible reasons for the attack, critical breakdown. The timing, target, and method point strongly to political intimidation linked to the constitutional amendment, not random crime or internal NCA issues. Here's a balanced assessment of the most plausible explanations, ranked by evidence: state-linked intimidation to deter opposition to the term extension bill, most credible, motive and context. The meeting was explicitly about stopping Constitutional Amendment No. 3, gazetted February 16, 2026. The bill changes presidential elections from direct popular vote to parliamentary selection and extends terms from 5 to 7 years, effectively letting President Mnangagwa stay in power until 2030 without triggering the 2-term limit. ZANU-PF frames it as elongating the electoral cycle, not extending terms. Critics, including Madhuku, who filed a constitutional court challenge, argue it violates Section 328(7) of the 2013 Constitution, which requires a referendum for any change affecting how long someone can hold office. Attackers' words, "You want to create problems for us," directly reference the problems Madhuku's group was organizing: protests plus court action. Police presence, per Madhuku, and consistent reporting, but non-intervention fits a recurring Zimbabwean tactic: uniformed officers provide cover while plainclothes or hired thugs act. Recent attacks on other NCA members, February 26, and activists follow the same pattern. Counterpoint, no smoking gun evidence of direct orders from the top. Could be overzealous local elements or unknown assailants tolerated by the system. ZANU-PF gains nothing from bad publicity right now. Probability, high. This is classic repression ahead of a controversial parliamentary push. Police enforcement of an unsanctioned gathering, police claim, police spokesperson Commissioner Paul Nyathi stated, the police were not involved. No officers were deployed. The meeting was not sanctioned after the NCA notified authorities of irregularities. Critique, even if the gathering lacked approval, that does not justify baton-wielding masked men or police inaction during an assault. Police denial ignores Madhuku's eyewitness account and photos of injuries. No deployment claim raises the question, why were marked vehicles there at all? Staged or exaggerated for sympathy, low credibility but worth noting, some social media skeptics point out Madhuku, a trained lawyer, went straight to media and protests instead of filing a formal police report immediately. Rebuttal, multiple injured members, consistent eyewitness accounts across outlets, real medical treatment, and the documented pattern of prior attacks on the same group make fabrication unlikely. Injuries are visible and corroborated. Random criminality or factional settling, no supporting evidence. The specificity, targeting the leader, political slogan, police proximity, rules this out. Bottom line, the attack is almost certainly meant to intimidate critics of the amendment and chill street protests. It reflects a deeper governance problem, using violence, or allowing it, alongside lawfare to extend power, a pattern seen under both Mugabe and Mnangagwa. What needs to be done? Pragmatic, rule of law steps. Immediate escalation into widespread violence helps no one. Zimbabwe cannot afford another cycle of protests. Crackdown economic damage. Concrete actions required from all sides. 1. Immediate accountability. Priority number 1. ZRP must publicly launch a credible investigation today, collect CCTV, witness statements, hospital reports, and vehicle logs. Arrest the assailants, balaclavas are not foolproof. Charge any complicit officers. Publish findings within 7 to 10 days. If ZRP refuses or drags feet, an independent commission, or SADC/AU observers, should step in. Impunity breeds more attacks. 2. Government and ZANU-PF condemn the violence unequivocally in an official statement. Tembamliswa's call yesterday is a good model. Either withdraw the amendment or subject it to the referendum required by the Constitution. Forcing it through Parliament without public consent will deepen legitimacy crisis. Allow peaceful protest and dialogue instead of preemptive intimidation. 3. Madhuku, NCA, and opposition file a formal police report and pursue assault charges plus constitutional court case aggressively. Organize protests lawfully and peacefully. Violent unrest will be used to justify further repression. Build a broad coalition, CCC, churches, unions, war veterans, rather than acting alone. Madhuku's call for street action is understandable but must remain non-violent to maintain moral high ground. 4. Broader institutional and international safeguards. Constitutional Court, fast-track challenges to Amendment Number 3. Civil society and media, continue documenting abuses and demanding transparency. Regional/international actors, SADC, AU, UN, EU. Quiet diplomacy urging restraint and constitutional compliance. Public shaming rarely works in Zimbabwe, but consistent monitoring does. Long-term, Zimbabwe needs genuine judicial independence and security sector reforms so police protect citizens rather than enabling thugs. Realistic outlook, without swift, transparent investigation and adherence to constitutional process, expect more attacks, bigger protests, and deepening polarization. The amendment itself is the root trigger. Resolving it through law, not batons, is the only sustainable path. Violence has never fixed Zimbabwe's problems, it only deepens them. The situation is still developing, as of March 2, 2026. If new evidence emerges, like arrests or court filings, the analysis could shift. What aspect would you like to explore further? The legal merits of the amendment, historical parallels, or protest risks? Subscribe, like to, and comment.